All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to second lecture in the FST series. I'll just hand it over to the tutor, which is Chuksujugo. He's already on the call. So, good evening, everyone. Over to you, Sir Chuks.
Good evening, Udeme. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. I hope we had a nice day. Uncle Henry, I greet you, sir. Philip, good evening. Teyombo, good evening. Obi, good evening. Usman, good evening. Ogunleye, Sarah, good evening. David, good evening. Yeah, good evening, Tosin. Charles, good evening. All right, so let's just give a few minutes for others to join in, and then we have a good start. Shizogam, good evening. Augustina, good evening. While we are waiting for others, how was the assignment I gave? Anybody can answer. How did you find? Is anybody hearing me?
Yes, 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 we
So
can hear.
how was the assignment?
Yes, the assignment is it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't new. It was something we were able to get our hands on. It was fine for
Oh,
me.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, then my next question will be, how did you find the class yesterday? For anybody can unmute and then answer.
Okay,
How
so
was
for
the
yesterday, the
class?
stuff was interesting. It wasn't complex. It was very well understood, and the questions were asked, and the questions were given a top-notch answers yesterday. So for me, the class was superb. It was fine.
All right, thank you. Abiola, impactful.
Okay. Um, the class was so interactive. It wasn't just like lecturer to student, like just to teach alone. As we didn't understand, okay, that's all. To me, I was able to assimilate more, like like a call and response for me, and very impactful. Like somebody has earlier said, yeah, I like your style of teaching. I would say.
All right, thank you. All right, that means that you can start testing by today, right?
I never said that.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. We are about 35. As at yesterday, we are about 55. So I'll just give a few more minutes while we wait for others to join in. While I'm waiting for them, let me go through. I went through some of the responses on the assignment, and I must say I was impressed. Some people went far, and then they were able to. Okay, I got 46 responses. That's good. Uh, User stories, class diagrams, sequence diagrams, API documentation, SDLC document, UAT plan, wireframes. That's nice. Let me look for somebody else. I will not call the person's name, so just enjoy it like that. Sequence diagram, user stories, class diagram, design document, test plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This person did not complete it, but it's fine. So the beauty of for me is you are able to get your hands dirty. You are able to understand what you're doing, understand the class. My joy is you understanding the class. If you don't understand the class, I have successfully not only wasted your time, I've also wasted your life, in my life, which is irredeemable. So if you are not understanding, please, let's not waste our life together. All right. So if we hit the 40 mark, I would go forward. Oh, if we hit the 40 mark, we are 37. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to a friend, talk to a colleague, and let's get started. Oyinbelo.
40.
Okay, thank you. Dari Parkinson. Is Dari still on the call?
Yes, I'm on the call.
Okay. How long have you been testing?
Let's say a year plus.
Okay. All right. Thanks for yesterday. I said I'll thank you today for helping the class out and myself.
This class has sent me a message.
The class.
I'm working directly on that area. Yes, so
It's good we are working together. All right. So let me share my screen and then we delve into what we have for the day. Where is function about share this? Okay. Okay. So before I go further, somebody just give us a recap on what you remember from yesterday. What you remembered from yesterday. Don't say everything, just say small. If you want to type, type. If you want to say it very
Okay.
fast.
Good evening. My name is David.
Thank you, David.
So I was saying we learned the definition of testing. Testing is the process of checking on someone or something. Then we also went into the definition of software testing, which
Okay,
is the set
thank
of
you.
procedures to discover artifacts and defects. Artifacts are the documents we use in producing a product. So which is the BRD. Whenever we are asked to test, what we should ask for is the user story, the BRD, and the PRD. Yeah, we also made to understand that the software testers should be implemented in all the software development lifecycle from the system requirement down to the deployment and to the testing. So we are also made to understand that the software testers are always knowing the product more than every other person, more than even probably the developers. Also made to understand in software testing there are two things: validation and verification.
Thank you, thank you.
Validation is
Daddy, pause. Thank you. You're doing very well. All right, sorry, David. Sheyambo, let me hear you. I would have loved to clap for you from here because you just the fire down. If job day now, you just put you in the field and just carry it and keep going. And that's a nice one. Sheyambo, Deborah, let me hear you. Smile, smile. Jesus loves you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Choose,
Done
can you
what?
hear me? You are not
He has
talking, you are
done
not
what?
laughing.
I spoke for almost 2
I'm
hours.
not
Then
joking.
don't tell me that he has done everything.
Yes, that's what I'm to say.
No,
You
no,
caught
not
me.
acceptable. Not acceptable. Say something. What did you learn from yesterday?
Okay.
Thank you.
The very first thing. I learned was that you as a software tester, you have to like know what I'm very sorry if I'm not using the right term. It's my first time ever in my life
Go
doing
ahead, no
anything
problem.
software testing.
You are good. Go ahead.
That you should know what your the stakeholder wants, the requirements. Not that, and there was one book you mentioned yesterday that we should, I think, BR or something. That was the first thing you mentioned, that we should get that manual, that okay, oh, this, if you are giving me a particular software to test, what is the user requirement, like what are the expectations? And we should not, and you also mentioned something caught my attention too, that we shouldn't, I think, test way out, like we should always try different method to our testing. And also we should try to bring up so many scenarios in our head, like what if this one works, what if that one works, and the way we are going to test for if okay, maybe like hospital or pharmaceutical company is different from the way you are going to test for like maybe an app, for a mobile app, and the one you are going to test for probably a shopping mall and the likes. And also you mentioned a scenario whereby somebody is in need of
It have
money,
do.
the child.
It have do. It have do. The way you don't have anything to say. You are already taking 15 minutes. Eh? Don't have any fear these kind of people. Oh. All right, thank you. Charles. Charles, let me hear you. Charles nwoke ọma nwoke na nwoke na nwoke na. Okay. Charles, are you there? Utibi, I greet you. Hello, Charles. Hello. Charles in this class. I just joined and left. Okay. All right, no problems. Obi Benjamin. What did you learn from yesterday's class?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Obi.
Yesterday, we learned about the principles of software testing. All the different parameters regarding it. And I think what stuck to me about the principles is the fact that exhaustive testing is impossible, and that's to show that there's like how do I put it? It's like, hello, can you hear me?
I'm with you. Go ahead. I'm nodding across with you. Go ahead. Put it in your words. Just put it in your words. It's fine. Let's know the finish. Okay, I think we lost to be there. One last person. Any other person? Let me throw it out before I start my class. Anybody? Anything you learned from yesterday? Anybody? Anybody?
Yeah, good
Anybody?
evening.
Testers call it defect, while developers call it bugs. Yeah, who is speaking, please?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Let me do like radio,
Yeah,
name and where you are calling from.
said one of the things you told us yesterday was that we should master the act of manual testing before forging to automation. And also, you showed us the hierarchy of testing on the ISTQB portal.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. So, I would first assignment for the day. Everybody go to istqb.org. Henry or Dari, please help me and pen this down. Go to istqb.org and download the foundation syllabus. I'll repeat that. Download the foundation syllabus. Go to the ISTQB's website and download the Certified Testers Foundation level syllabus. Okay, so that takes us into the class for today. Where is my slideshow? Yesterday, we stopped at the 7 testing software principles. Then today, we'll be going ahead with the next thing. And we'll be looking at errors, defects, failures, and root cause. Now, just to put it out there, when you are confused about a definition, please use ISTQB's definition. It's a worldwide accepted definition. You can have explanations from other places, but please use ISTQB's definition as our standard. That certificate is recognized worldwide. Therefore, if you use it as a standard, you'll be on the right track. So today we'll be looking at error, defects, failures, and root causes. Human beings make errors. Can you see the whole of my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so nothing is blocking it, right?
No, nothing.
Okay. Human beings make errors, which are mistakes, and these mistakes goes further to produce defects, which can either be called faults or bugs, depending on who is looking at it. Probably is the developer or is the stakeholder or whoever. But for us as software testers, it produces defects. And these defects in turn result in failures. There are different reasons why human beings make error. Like the example I gave yesterday, the guy had to meet a target. He had to meet his deadline. If not, his child would have died. So at that point, he would have made a whole lot of mistakes because he was not composed and all that. So time pressure, complexity of work products, processes, infrastructure, interactions, or simply because they are tired or lack of adequate training. These are some probable reasons why error, defects, failure, and root causes happens. Now, second thing you will get to hear this more when we do test analysis. But just to put it here so it doesn't skip my mind. The better your analysis of a document, the better the test cases you will write. You will get to hear it later, but just know this. After you get your BRD document, the next thing you should do is to analyze it like heaven and your life depends on it. If you analyze it properly, you will have a good test. If you analyze it shabbily, you will have a shabby test. If you don't analyze it at all, your life will be on the line. Because what happens majorly in companies is the question, who tested it? I'm diverting because we are talking about error, defects, failures, and root causes. At the end of the day, they don't ask who wrote the program. They will ask who tested the program. So you must analyze very, very, very well. And for you to analyze very well, you must ask intelligent questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. When I left Paga to my present place of work, one of the things they told me is, Chooks, you see that question? Never stop asking it. Questions gives you and the stakeholders clarity on what they are doing. I'll repeat that. Questions gives the you and the stakeholders better clarity on the product. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I will go on with what is an error? An error is an act that through ignorance, deficiency, or accident is the end I want you to see, departs from or fails to achieve what should be done. That's the definition of an error. In software testing, an error is a mistake or deviation from the expected behavior of a program. Going further, error refers to a coding or programming mistake, usually due to incorrect syntax or faulty loops. So majorly, errors are done by developers. I will just summarize that majorly. Note the word I said, majorly. Errors are done by developers. I'm at the foundation level, so I will not take you up to DevOps and all that, where they can also create errors. But majorly, due to software testing, ISTQB definition of what an error is, it is a deviation from the expected behavior of a program, which is normally done during coding, or you can call it programming. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, errors can occur at any point during the software development process. These errors can originate in requirement gathering, the design, the coding, the testing, or even during the deployment phase. They are essentially deviations from the expected and desired behavior of the software. So errors can happen almost anywhere. Errors can happen almost anywhere. Okay. Now we come to where it concerns us most. What is a defect? A defect is an error or a mistake or a faulty loop or a wrong syntax that is found during the testing phase. As we know, we said there's no product, there's no software that is void of defects. Therefore, not all defects causes failure. Please note that. If you remember yesterday, I said, don't allow critical defects to follow you to production. For instance, the example of a defect is when I spell not to be NTO. The not you are seeing on my screen, if I spell it as NTO, it doesn't spoil the writing. It doesn't scatter the functionality of what I want to say. It's just a typo. It's a defect, but it's not critical. I didn't put that in cognizance. Defect severity, defect priority, I didn't pen that down. But sorry, please, somebody remind me later to go through defect severity and defect priority. I don't have it on my slide, but if you have time, I'll take you through that. Okay, so I said not all defects causes failures, but when they do, it's because the software doesn't perform as expected. There are many types of defects. There are many types of defects, many different types. There are functional defects. As I said before, there are syntax defects. There's performance defects. There's interface defects. There's non-functional defects. There's structural defects. There's process defect. There's human defect. There's the defect that is coming from up and is going down. It's going down like that. I'll call it a cascading defect. So there are different types of defects. Depending on where you are working, you will now classify it according to that defect. Depending on where, okay. All right. So there are different types of defects depending on where you're working. If you are doing a non-functional test, then the defects you should be having are non-functional defects. If you are drawing up the structure of your program, probably your technical specification document, what you have there is a structural defect. If somebody is sick and then is supposed to meet deadline yesterday, it's a human defect. Or somebody just decided to come pour water on the uh, developer's laptop or his coding machine. That's a human defect. Or NEPA just decides to send high voltage and it electrocutes your system or fries the motherboard. That's a human defect. So there are different types of defects. Assignment number 2. Henry, are you there? Dari? If you are there, please
Sure,
respond.
why? No,
Okay. Okay, thank you. Aside the defects listed, state 3 other types of defects. Aside the defects listed, state 3 other types of defects. Aside the defects listed, state 3 other types of defects. Dari, you want to take a screenshot or I continue? David.
Screenshot it already.
Okay, David, when you want to I would like the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So just be enjoying the assignment like that so that we are together. All right, so we go into what is a failure. In software testing, failure is when a software system doesn't perform as expected. This can be due to defects in the code, hardware issues, and environmental factors. Let's say, for instance, you are finished writing your product or your program or your software, and it has been deployed successfully. Then as soon as the first customer wants to come in, bam, the server fries because there was thunder. That's a failure. And it is caused by environmental factors. Another one can be hardware issues. You have finished producing your software, you have tested it, you have done UAT, and then everything passes. And all of a sudden, because electronics are electronics, they don't tell you when they want to go on vacation. And they just go on vacation. That's a failure. So majorly, notice the word I'll use again, majorly, failures occur after deployment. I'll repeat that, majorly, failures occur after deployment. I said majorly. Any question?
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. My question is, like you mentioned something a restaurant, but I want to ask, in a restaurant or probably in a mall, during working customer working customers order, and there was an error on the system caused by, can it okay is it can it be caused by software testers or by the developer?
Rephrase your question, please.
Okay, thank you. My question is, during working customers order, and the customers make order, uh, in the process there was an error on the system. How is it caused by software testers or by the developer during the payment?
I'm trying to understand your question, but caveat, please. You know that this video will be online, so adjust yourself appropriately. I'm speaking to everybody. This video will be online, so address yourself appropriately. I'm talking
Okay.
about those that have seen their videos on, and you understand what I'm saying. So I will not go
Yes,
further. Yeah, so
no problem.
let me see if I'm
Yes.
getting your question correctly.
Hmm.
A working customer comes to order for something, right?
Yes, yes.
And then at the point of payment,
Payment, yes.
something goes wrong with the
There was an
system.
error system, yes.
Okay, so it might not be the developer's issue. It might not be the tester's issue. It might just be an environmental factor.
Okay.
So what you need to do is to do what we call a root cause
Oh,
analysis. What
what?
actually caused it? A root cause analysis.
Okay.
So if you are able to find what caused it, then you now be able to know who caused it.
Okay.
Shall we continue?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hope I answered you. Huh?
Yes, almost. But I wanted to know,
Go
who
ahead.
is a
Go
root
ahead.
cause analyst?
Huh. You will see it. So you get there. After failures, we'll get to root cause.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Oduta,
And
use your annotators wisely. Go ahead, hear me see.
No, I'm done, sir. I'm done. I'm okay with the answer.
Okay, thank you. So what causes software failures? I said I've spoken about them: defects, hardware issues, or environmental factors. The hardware issues: physical damage, overheating, incompatibility with the software, radiation bursts, like in LA, the fire, the fire outbreak. I'm sure it must have affected a whole lot of softwares, and then they are failing, and a whole lot of things. So that's just by the way. I think I'll share this slide when I'm done. Although it's quite a lot, but I think it will be good for you for a refresher. So how is software failure detected? Test failure you that doesn't meet the expected result or the expected outcome. You need to know, you need to do what is next now, which we call root cause analysis. A root cause, let me see, I'm now answering your question. A root cause is
Okay,
a or
I'm
the
with him.
fundamental reason for the occurrence of the problem. Alalekon is back. It's good to have you. Just give me a minute. A root cause is a fundamental reason for the occurrence of a problem. Root causes are identified through root cause analysis, which is typically performed when a failure occurs or a defect is identified. Yemisi, does this answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you
So
very
the
much.
root cause analysis can be done by any of the stakeholders, either by the developer or by the tester or by the product owner. It can, if a technician is involved, it can be done by a technician because you can never say what actually caused the failure. Knowing that what causes a failure is either environmental, human, or by having a defect. Okay, thank you. Olalekan, the hands are raised. Olalekan, shoot.
All right, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening, Olalekan. What's up?
All right. Sorry, I want to ask a question, but I don't know if you've talked about it before I joined, because I joined it, obviously. So, but from where I joined, I noticed that you're talking about error, defects, failure, and root cause analysis. Now, my question goes this way. From the last class, you talked about bugs, and you also talked about defects. You put it to us that the defects and bugs are used by different people. So the developers, it is known as bug, and to the testers, it is known as defects. Now, who identify or who trigger and report failure? Is it the developer or the tester or the end users? And in what environment such term failure is being, um, um, described? Is it
Okay.
in development environment, or is it in testing environment, or is it in production environment? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yeah, I get your question. Okay, so when I spoke about that, I said failures majorly occurs after deployment. The deployment can either be to production or it can be to the staging environment. By the way, there are three environments which we use as testers. The first is called an alpha environment. The next is called a beta environment. And then the last is called the production. The alpha is where you can use dummy data. The beta is where you use real data, but it is enclosed. The beta is where you use real data, but it is enclosed. It's not to the general public. Then production is for everybody. Three environments where we test. Number one, the alpha environment, where we can use dummy data. We can have $200 billion and then have nothing in our original bank account. In beta, how much you have in your bank account is what will be showing. If it's 200,000 naira, that's what it's going to be showing. If you send money from that beta platform, that money have gone. It is real money. It is almost the same as production. The only difference is beta is enclosed. Is an enclosed group, is a set of people who are called together to test the software before it is given to the general populace. Now, to answer your question, Olalekan, failure can happen at any of these points. Failure can happen during beta. Failure can happen during production, and failure can happen during alpha testing. Remember, failure is deviation from, Benjamin, I'll get back to you. Remember, failure is deviation from expected outcome. Like the example I gave, a bank I went to test for them, the developers took 6 months to develop the software. And as soon as we came in, myself and my team, we just found out that those guys have been doing nonsense from the beginning. So that was a failure. But that was on testing environment. That's the alpha environment, right? Now, the beta environment, what failure will happen is we have tested on the alpha environment and everything is working perfectly. Now, when we push the code to the beta environment, we find out that nothing is working. Meanwhile, if we test it on the alpha environment, it is still working. So there is a failure on that beta environment. Now, on the production environment, there is something called product testing. There is something called maintenance testing. I think it's a very few companies actually do product testing. And product testing is real life testing, testing on production, using the app the way every user would use the app. So when your app crashes, that's a failure. Lalikon, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. So when you're saying that now, so from this environment you talked about, when a testing is being conducted in all of these environments, so and a trigger is being, a failure is being triggered, can we report that as defects? And if it happens in production environment and it happens that end users, trigger a failure, so is that a defect or a failure? So I don't know if you get these extra two questions follow up to your explanation, sir.
So let me differentiate them, right? A defect, the app is still working. A failure, the app is not working. When your app crashes, right? You want to open your bank app, and as soon as you open it, the thing crashes. Can you do anything? Alalekon?
No, is that not a critical defect?
Yeah, you can call it a critical defect, but actually it's called a failure. Your app has failed. You cannot work with it. A critical defect means the app is still working, but the failure, your app is not working. If thunder strike your server, meanwhile you have finished production, and then they have tested everything, then the server was fried by thunder. Is the app working or is not working?
Obviously, it won't.
But deploying it before, was it working or it's not working? Before the strike,
It's working.
is working. So you cannot say that there's a defect on the app. You can say there's a failure due to environmental issues. Do you understand?
All right, sir. Yes, I understand your explanation. Sir. Thanks.
If you need more explanation, meet me on Slack. Okay, so somebody asked a question. Is it same as dev staging and prod? So as I started, I said, when you are confused, use ISTQB as your standard. So many people can use different names for it, and then it's confusing. Follow what they use in your company, right? But you as a tester know what it actually is. I'll repeat that. follow what they use in your company, but you as a tester know what it actually is. And if you have the opportunity to correct it, please correct it. But don't fight over it. If they say that's what they understand, please put your hands up and let them continue. In as much as all of you understand yourself, dev staging prod is fine. Some people can say their dev is test environment, their staging is their beta, production is production. So anyone, the lingo they use as stakeholders, remember they are not all testers. It's fine. But you as a tester, you know when you're speaking to your fellow tester, you speak your tester lingo. Benjamin. Okay, so Deborah, you said you have a question. Thank you. Deborah, your hands are up. Go ahead.
Yes. So, just to get like a better explanation, you've actually answered most of it, anyways. So, you're talking about if okay, the person that can detect like a failure and a defect, right? So, something happened, right, to me in my place of work. I got a laptop, right? It's a
Mhm.
managed device. So I've been using it for a while, and I could remember one, like all of a sudden one day I just have to boot my system and it said it's updating. And before I know it, under 3 to 5 minutes, I saw something like restart your system, and I restarted it. And I saw some next thing, enter your supervisor's password, bad RC something something. And it's a laptop I've been using it like every day. So I have to reach out to my admin, and they were like, they should bring the laptop and like give me another one. So my question out of that scenario is that I want to believe, because I don't just want to start mentioning brand. It's a very big brand for the name of the laptop. I want to believe that they've got um developers who worked on the laptop well, and they've got testers to check it well. Could it be what actually happened that day was part of environmental causes that made the laptop got crashed that day? Because when I even sent mail, because we do something like root cause analysis from my end too. So I was like, I want to know what really happened, because they said they've escalated. So I want to ask, like, what could be the cause of that?
So you
I
have
don't know if you got
answered the
my question.
question. You
How?
have answered the question. You have to look for the root cause.
You said that there are some
Yes.
cases whereby environment causes it, and that time I said that if thunder strike that person's server and the likes.
Okay.
Choose.
Okay, so let me paint your scenario again, right? So
Yeah.
you thought you used the system for a long while, right?
Yeah.
And then for you to come and turn it on for a particular day, it tells you to enter your administrator's password, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there are restrictions on some laptops due to network usage. The administrator password there might just be somebody in the company that will solve that thing. It might not just be it might not just be something too big like that. For instance, if I want to install something on this system now, it will ask me for an administrator username and password. So
Yeah.
somebody must have set up a restriction on your laptop. It's a company laptop, right?
Yes, and it's a managed one.
It's a
Like
managed
it's
one.
a yes. Like what I mean manage is that you can only use it for only a remote desktop that the user is assigned to. Like you
So
can't use it for
there's a network issue.
two. Okay.
The networking engineer must have configured something that, okay, if you try to do this, let this happen. And it might just be a restriction on their end that, okay, this person is misusing this system. Bring back the system. Take on that one. maybe you have cracked their code or something unknown to your company policy,
Yeah. Because what me I'm actually thinking of that is that maybe during the update there are some softwares that they were trying to update and got crashed and affected the system.
Did the system crash?
Yes, now when I on it to be making sound and it's going to tell me bad RC something something. When I raised ticket to IT told me that that they cannot do anything, that I should go and collect another laptop, that they are going to escalate to the brand owner of that laptop. And that was what they did. They said because they've been having the issue for a while now.
So it's a software issue.
Okay,
Or
thank
it can
you.
also be a hardware issue, but it's fine. All right, so let's continue our class. Okay, so root cause is what we're talking about. Next, we are going to be looking at test types, types of tests. According to ISTQB, there are 4 categories of test types or testing types. They have merged it into 4. First is functional testing. Second is non-functional testing. The third is black box testing. And the fourth is white box testing. I'll repeat them. The 4 categories of testing is number 1, functional testing. Number 2 is non-functional testing. The third one is, come again. The third one is black box testing. And the last one is white box testing. It's when you're not, so I don't think you are saying something when you are not. You can help me unmute your mic. So I'm going to be explaining all of them one after the other. Functional testing evaluates the functions that a component or system should perform. The functions are what the test object should do. I'll just read through, then I'll take them one by one. The non-functional testing evaluates attributes other than the functional characteristics of a component or system. The non-functional testing is the testing of how well the system behaves. Black box testing is specification-based and derives tests from documentation external to the test object. The main objective of black box testing is to check whether the system behavior, against its specification. White box testing is structure-based and derives tests from systems, implementation, and internal structure. So we go to functional testing. What is functional testing? Functional testing majorly validates what the system does. Note that part, what the system does. Example, if I click my video and it shows an X, what the system does is that you are no more able to see my face. Functional testing focuses on what the system does. If I click my microphone now, I know you did not hear what I said before. When I click my microphone and you are not able to hear me again, that is what the system does. If you see the examples I gave here, the functionalities, the login, the search, payment, send money, and a whole lot of things. Functional testing can be carried out on all the levels of testing. Unit, integration, system, acceptance testing. You can use different test techniques, which we'll still look at later on. Equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis, different techniques on functional test. Functional test is majorly performed by QA testers. It can either be manual or it can be automated. Any question from functional test?
Please, I can't hear anything again, no. I don't know whether it's still talking.
Same here too.
That's part of functional testing.
Now and then. Okay, so failure just happened, and then there's a switch in my power source, which is a failure at the moment, but it's coming back on. So I'll not be sharing my video at the moment. Okay, the light is back up. Environmental failure. Thank you. Okay, let me share my screen so we continue. So any question for functional test? Any question for functional test? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Olalekan,
can
your hand
hear
is
you
up.
now.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. At the end of the class, David, you might get the slide. Might. Olalekan, your hand is up. Is it a former hand or a new one?
Still the same hand, but new.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so now you're talking about functional testing, and you just said that it's QA that can perform functional testing. But under this
Yes.
functional testing, you put unit testing as an
Mm-hmm.
example.
Yes.
So unit testing, is that not meant for developers?
Did you see the ending in the bracket? Olalekan, are you there?
I didn't get what you said. Sorry.
Did you see what's in the bracket performed by QA testers? Hello, Lekan.
No, you listed out examples of functional testing.
And I put
I think
unit
it's the
testing
network.
here, right?
Yes.
So I'm now asking you a question. The last line of my slide, what can you see there? You can read it out if you want.
You said manual or automated. The
Okay,
testing
so
can be carried out.
how long have you been testing? Or are you new to testing?
Well, I'm not new to testing.
Okay. How long have you been testing?
I think it should be it's going to 2 years, perhaps.
The chairman now. The chairman. Okay. So automated
But at the
testing,
moment,
that's fine. Automated testing requires coding. There are codeless ones, but if you want to do original one, if you want to get your hands, if you want it to be flexible for you, you need to know how to code. So if you know how to code as a tester, as an automated tester, do you think you will still do unit testing? Raleigh,
Boss, you need to recap. I didn't listen. Sorry.
Okay, no problems. I'll recap. That's why we are here. So I said performed by QA testers, and these tests can either be manual or automated. The automated testing requires a form of or a level of coding, right? Or a level of programming, because some people might not understand what coding is. A level of programming. So as
Yeah.
a tester, you have written a program. Do you test the program you wrote or you don't test it?
Yeah, a tester will test its source code, definitely.
So testing source code is called what?
But relating this to test objects, like a system under test, uh, you know, if perhaps a software has been written by a developer and is given to um, the apps is now given to a tester to run a couple of tests on it. So does that mean such tester is performing unit testing? Because
Okay.
the ISTQB related, I mean, scope, it says that uh, please, I hope I'm not too forward anyway, but
No,
for
go
one thing
ahead.
I
We are
learned
learning
from it,
together. Maybe they have changed something and I've not checked. So a teacher is also a student. A wise teacher though is also a student. Go ahead.
I'm sorry for that anyway. So I'm just trying to say that I learned from it that there's a part of it that says that unit testing is conducted by software developer. But if you prove it otherwise, I will totally accept that as well. You understand? But
Okay.
from what I've known before and having these new updates about it, it's kind of counterintuitive. That's putting
Okay.
it to
Thank
that
you.
side.
Yes, coach. Okay. You are taking me out of what we are doing, but it's fine. I do have. Please let me know what you can see. What can you see on your screen, please?
Test types.
Oh, now, Uncle.
Test types.
Wait. Hang on. Let me stop sharing and share again.
Yes, yes, yes. I wanted to say that.
Okay. So what can you see on my screen now?
Code.
A code.
Your
This code was
console.
not written by developers. I wrote this code myself. This playwright, and then I want to test the website that was given to me. Right? I want to automate the website. So it's an automated test. Right? So if I put a comma here, Alalik, are you with me? Alalik,
Go on, sir. He can hear you.
okay, so if I put a comma here and then it's not correct, as you can see now, it's giving me error. As I'm testing it, what am I doing? Alalik,
Yes, Mr. Chus, I can hear you.
you're not with me, definitely. Just take it by heart that unit test can also be carried out by a tester, and
Of
especially an
course.
automated tester.
Okay, sorry, sir. So this one that you show, I
Yes.
think I did something like that with Selenium. I don't know that it's code itself I was doing.
That's it. So, Laleko, to answer your question purely, unit testing is majorly for developers, but an automated tester also does unit test. Notice the word I used, an automated tester also does unit test. Alalekon, I don't think Alalekon is in this class. Okay, sir. All right, thank you. We can continue. So we'll go ahead to the next part of our class, which is non-functional test. The non-functional test, it looks at how well, notice the first one says what the system does. The second one says how well the system does what it's supposed to do. For instance, when I click the back arrow and I click the front arrow, how well it goes. What's the speed of going from one page to the other? Is there any lag between going from one page to the other? Will the system draw like snail before it gets to the next page? That is what non-functional test is all about. For instance, if you launch google.com, how many minutes would it take google.com to hit Google's server and come back to your screen? Non-functional test checks how well, when Junior came to Nigeria and then they wanted to do Black Friday, their first ever Black Friday, they had a non-functional failure because the number of people that came on the site that day crashed the site. And what happened was they didn't carry out what was called stress or load test, which falls under non-functional tests. Is anybody confused? Shoyombo, Charles, Obi. Is anybody
For
confused?
me, I'm
Yes,
not.
I'm confused.
For me, I'm not.
Okay, if you are confused, please ask your question. Who said she's confused? Please ask. Oh yeah, we still have a lot to do, please, so that we will be able to cover grounds.
When you said stress testing and load testing, do you mean that the number of people they were expecting was more than what the site could carry?
Exactly.
Okay.
You're very correct. So another way to explain it, you have finished cooking soup. You have put all the ingredients. Now, when you taste it, it's sweet, I mean, no sweet. It's a non-functional test. Is that gotten? Hello, can we continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So the non-functional test validates how well the system performs under various conditions. Some types of assignment three, Dari and Henry. Give me 3 examples of non-functional tests aside the one that is on the screen. Stress testing, load testing, usability testing, security testing. Assignment number 2. Give me 3 examples of non-functional tests. David, be coming down. 3 examples of non-functional tests. So we just go ahead.
Okay.
Because our time is fast spent and we still have almost like 40
Sorry, sir.
slides. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Abel, go
So I
ahead.
wanted to ask, like, if we are testing, for example, a login this is for a website, okay, and you notice that the password was supposed to be maybe no wait, here you should put your birthday where you are signing up, right? You put month, a date, month, and year. So if why I'm trying to put that, I change it like I test the normal one, it works. I now try to change it. If it's that one is still is non-functional now, Abi. I
It's a
use the normal way
functional
it works.
test. It's a
Okay,
functional
still
test.
functional. So still the
Yes,
opposite of what works will still work.
it's still a functional test. So when we
Oh,
get
that
to
was
test
fun.
cases, I'll teach you about negative test cases and positive test cases. But
All right.
let me elaborate more. When you're testing login, you enter your username, you enter your password, and then it goes to your dashboard. It's a functional test. You change something in your username, you change something in your password, and it does not go to the user to the dashboard. It's still a functional test. Now, you enter your username, you enter your password. The time in between when you click login and when the dashboard will show. Notice what I said, the time in between when you click login and when the dashboard will show can be gotten using non-functional tests. Example is performance test. There are tools for that. Abel, do you understand my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I get it.
Okay, so
Right.
just to buttress that, on this screen now, if I click back, there's no way for me to know visually how many seconds it takes or how many microseconds it takes for me to go from one page to the other. But using a tool for non-functional tests, I can know how many seconds this transition takes. There's no way I can know using this arrow key, which is a functional test. There's no way I can know. Even if I use a timer, it might just help. But majorly, if you use a non-functional testing tool, you should be able to know that. That gives me my third question. What's the difference between load test? Load test says how many you can test. Stress test is asking how many you can be able to carry. Olalekan, load test says how many you can carry. This is the load you can carry. Stress test is checking if this load we said you can carry more than that. You can eat 4 shawarma. We buy you 4 shawarma. That's what you can eat. We now say, okay, well, let's check if you can still eat 5, if you can eat 6, if you can eat 7. That's stress testing. If you don't vomit at that point, we can increase your load. Alalik, are you good? I need to run. Our time is going far. Alalik, are you good?
Run, sir, run.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's non-functional test. If you see, you're checking if a website can handle 100,000 users at once, measuring response time under peak loads, and all that. That's non-functional test. The next we are talking about is black box testing. Now, please note the difference between black box and white box. Objective is to validate the system's functionality based on specifications. I highlighted what I want you to see without knowing its internal workings. Without knowing its internal workings. The internal workings now is how the code is written. You don't want to know. This is where we call this manual testing. You can call black box testing manual testing. Do you get? So when you are testing without caring of the code, that's black box testing. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So when I share this, you can now any question first, so because I know people get confused at this point. Then white box testing is now testing the internal operation, the code I showed you, the logic. Okay, if user A enters the correct username and the wrong password, let this error message be displayed. If user A enters the correct username, enters the correct password, let the dashboard be displayed. Now, this is you testing the code and how the code works. This is where Alalikon, you are coming to that unit testing is done by programmers. If you see the end, I wrote there, it is performed by developers or testers with programming knowledge. Olalikon, that's where I answer your question. It is performed by developers or testers with programming knowledge. When you get to API testing, you will find out that you need at least a bit of programming knowledge for you to be able to actually enjoy and be a good API tester. All right. You see that. Okay, the test process. I think this is where I'll call it a day. After the test process, then we'll be able to continue tomorrow. Test process. Give me a minute. All right. So test process. A test process usually consists of the main groups of activities which are carried out throughout the testing period. There's something we call an STLC, software testing life cycle. Your test process is that. Although many of these activities appear to follow a logical sequence, they are implemented iteratively or in parallel. Read English. Now, this is the test process. A test process consists usually of the main groups of activities involved in the testing of a product. Your test processes are number one, your test planning. Is there no Google Sheet for us to fill in the attendance? Hang on. Henry and Gary will do that. You will get the slide after the whole class. Thank you, David. Which language is okay to learn as a tester? It depends on the one your company is using. If you go and learn Java and then your company is using Node.js, your name is sorry. But for automated testers, it is first advisable for you to understand programming, object-oriented programming. If you understand the concept, then you should be able to learn any language. Abimbola, no, that's not Abimbola. Oluwasanmi, I believe that answers your question. You can learn any programming language your company uses. So the test process, we have test planning, test monitoring and control, test analysis, test design, test implementation, test execution, and finally, test completion. So I'm going to be explaining each of them, and then we call it a day. Test planning consists of defining the test objectives and then selecting an approach that best achieves the objectives within the constraints imposed by the overall context. Now, test planning comes, okay, let me explain it this way. Test planning is majorly, hello, listen to what I'm about to say, and this is not on ISTQB. This is as a result of years of experience. Test planning comes in two modes. Test planning comes in two modes. Number one, the master test plan is not on my slide, so you better listen to this part. Number one is the master test plan. Number two is the tester's test plan. I'll repeat that. Test planning comes in two modes. Number one is the master test plan. And the second one is the tester's test plan. Now, the master test plan consists of how many testers are going to be on the product, what's the time duration for completing the test, uh, uh, anything that will help to achieve the overall objective of the product is done or written out in the master test plan. And this is majorly done by the test lead. It is majorly done by the test lead. The master test plan is done by the test lead. I'll repeat that. The master test plan is done by the test lead. The tester's test plan is done by the tester himself or herself. And this tester's test plan, one of the things you get in it is how many test cases do you think you'll be able to get from looking at a product? If it's a login page, okay, login page, first name, last name, password, eye icon, login button is displayed appropriately. When you click the login button, it should take you to the dashboard. Like this now, from the top of my head, I can see that I should have at least 6 test cases. At least 6 test cases. So that will be in the tester's test plan. That's one. Number two, how long would it take me to be able to test these 6 test cases? Okay, it will take me like 30 minutes for me to be able to test these 6 test cases. This is the tester's test plan. Now note, the tester's test plan must not exceed the master test plan. In the tester's test plan also, what technique would I use, or which techniques should I use to be able to have good coverage? Which test techniques should I use to be able to have good coverage? This is not in your ISTQB textbook, but just take it from experience. So that's fine. Any question on test planning? Any question? Shoyomba Obi, Charles, Sarah, Olalikon, Abel. Any question? Just Demilade.
No question from my end.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, no
You know,
question.
most
Okay.
most of the time is that this when it comes to test planning and they talk about test objective, it seems a little bit related. But I hope experience will help better. That's why I don't really bother about it.
You are speaking English. Please speak what I can hear.
I said that the test objectives and the test planning, like the test plan, the difference between the two.
The test objective is what you want to test. The test plan is everything that will help you to test what you want to test.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So that's test planning. Test monitoring and control involves the ongoing. Notice the word ongoing. Checking of all test activities and the comparison of actual progress against the plan. Remember, we have a plan. Now, the monitoring and control is ensuring that we are following the plan.
Tomorrow I have to listen to this class again. God have me. God have me. Don't know why you decided to fix these classes for weekend.
Vivian, mute your mic. Okay. Thank you. So test monitoring and control involves the ongoing checking of all test activities and the comparison of actual progress against the plan. What do we do during test monitoring and control? So during test plan, we said there are 10 people that are going to be testing, right? And then during the project, we find out that pressure tipo. all the testers, most of them are now getting sick. Let's say 2 of them are sick. 2 of them getting sick means that there will be will not meet targets. If we don't do test monitoring and control, we will not meet the plan that we had. So what do we do in test monitoring and control? Once we see that 2 testers are not feeling fine, we reschedule the workload. 1, or we ask for more time due to unforeseeable things. Now, during test planning, please ensure that you give enough space. If you know that you are going to be using 6 days to test, please put 8 or 10 days, because the best of a plan is on paper. I'll repeat that. The best of a plan is on paper. Your best plan is always on paper. When you come to execution, you must see bottlenecks. So if you have checked it, okay, you can do it within 6 days. Please put 8 to 10 days in case anything happens. It's better that you are safe than you are not. All right, so test monitoring and control, you just check that. Test analysis, this is where you should ask questions. See, there's no stupid question at the beginning. Notice the word I used at the end. At the beginning, there's no stupid question. And then know this and know peace. There are times that your stupid question is what delivers the company. I'll repeat. There are times that your stupid question is what delivers the company. In brainstorming, there is what we call no bias part, which means just put everything. Don't scrutinize at this point. Just be throwing the ideas, be throwing the ideas, be throwing the ideas, be throwing the ideas. The truth of the matter is, ideas build on each other. So your question, though is looking stupid, somebody might now see something that would be detrimental or helpful to the product or to the project. So when they laugh at you that you ask stupid question, take it that it is brainstorming session you are doing. But caveat, don't always ask stupid questions, please. I will repeat that. Don't always ask stupid questions. Ask intelligent questions, especially when you are growing in this field. So test analysis includes analyzing the test basis to identify the testable features and to define and prioritize associated test conditions with the risk involved and all that. What question? Question number 3 or 4, Dari and Henry. Give me 4 documents that you can carry out test analysis on. Give me 4 documents.
Okay, sorry. This is question 3. Oh, you didn't mention question 3 earlier.
Okay, so this is question 3. Thank you. Give me 4 documents you can carry out test analysis on. If you look at the end here, test analysis answers the question what to test. Test analysis answers the question what to test.
No, this is question 4, I think.
Okay, I cannot even remember the questions.
Because question 1, you said we should download foundational
This is the
syllabus
fourth one.
from ISTQB. Then question 2, you said aside the defect listed, we should state 3 other types of defects. Question 3, you said example of non-functional testing aside from the ones you mentioned, the stress, load, usability, and security.
Okay.
So I think this is the question number 4.
Okay. Thank you. Please, you can write it out on the chat box. So we have it documented. So as I was saying before, if you are able to analyze your document properly, you'll be able to get a good test coverage, and your results will be fantastic, at least to the level that you are part-time. Test analysis. Test design is quite elaborate. Includes elaborating. Yeah, okay. I didn't even know that English was there. Test design includes elaborating the test conditions into test cases and other tests where this activity often involves the identification of coverage items and a whole lot of things. Just to explain in, let me see if I can get one test design, test case design. What can you see on my screen, please?
Test design. Google now.
Okay, okay. Google, where can I get that? Okay. Okay. Okay, so in quotes, right? Notice the word I use in quotes. This is a test case design, or this is a test design. Can you see my catch me up Google sheet?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is a test case design or test design. It has the number of defects you have raised, the ones that have been solved, your defect ID, the environment you are on, the steps to produce your expected results, a whole lot of things. So I'm rushing so that I can finish before 9:45. But this is when we get to test cases, this will be part of your assignment. So look at it and know peace. So let me take it easy. Okay. So just take it by faith that this is what the test design looks like. All right. Yeah. Okay, so back to our class. Test design. Test design is simply talking about the steps to test your test case, giving it a case ID, giving it flesh. Let me use that word, giving it flesh. You understand it better when we get to practical. Test design also includes defining the test data requirements. I've already talked about this. Test implementation. Now, I say, let me see, test this product on iOS. Test implementation says, prepare your phone for testing the app. If I say, IMC, go and test on iOS. Number one, you ask me, I don't even have the app. How should I test? So, I will now answer you, okay, I need your email to invite you to test flight in order for you to have access to the app. That is what is called test implementation, preparing yourself for the test. Everything that you will need in order for you to start and finish your test. The preparation process is called test implementation. Any question? Any question? I'm almost done. Okay. Now, test execution. This is where you now get your hands dirty. All the other ones you have been thinking and be looking and be doing other one. But in test execution is where you now click, okay, they say I should be able to log in with username and password. Now you enter username and password. That is execution. This is where you are really now doing the test. Other ones were preparations for test execution. When you start doing the do, it's called test execution, and it can either be automated or manual. Then the last but not the least is called test completion. Test completion, I forgot to put this, but there's something called an entry and an exit criteria. Your entry criteria says you must have this before you are able to start testing. Your exit criteria, you must complete this before you are able to exit testing. I will explain that again. Your entry criteria says you must have this before you are able to start testing. Your exit criteria says you must accomplish this before you stop testing. With these very few points of mine, I want to say thank you for coming to my class. And it's a pleasure being your teacher today. Any question?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask something about
Go ahead,
what
please.
is test what is test scope? If you are talking about test exit and test entry.
Come again.
Scope. Like
Different
kind
scope.
of like what the way I don't know how they categorize it. Like when they said, okay, these are the things we want you to test. Okay, you are not supposed to go beyond that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it that
So the test scope, right? There's something called in scope and out of scope. So
that's why
they
I
say,
was wondering.
okay, so they say you have to test only, you have an app. On that app, you have send money, you have buy airtime, you have pay bills. The test scope says test only send money. But you now, as Agba tester, now say you want to go and test pay bill, right? You're already out of scope. Although they are on the same app, but that is not your scope of testing. Your scope of testing is test send money to ensure I can send money from person A to person B. The person A is deducted the amount that is sent. The person B receives and is credited and is balance incremented by the amount deducted from person A. That is the scope of the product. If you go and start testing pay bill, you are a tester. Maybe did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions before I call it a day? Any question from anybody? Gloria. Okay. Vivian Vincent. Where is she? No worry, we can sleep over the weekend. There's still class tomorrow and next tomorrow. So I want us to quickly, if you can finish your slides this week. So enter test case, but I doubt if we can finish it. Let me see how many slides do we have left. This is where are we? We are on 34 and we are still going to 68. Uh-oh. Lord have mercy. Okay, so any questions? Any questions? Dari, do you have our 4 questions now?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to be throwing open-ended questions, and the fastest finger wins recharge card from me. Daddy, you help me here. No, Daddy, I also part so that I will not cheat you out of the enjoyment. Right.
No, no. The class already cheated me out based on the nomination. So I'll work with you.
Come again.
I said the class has voted me to do something. So my democracy must follow the people. So I will do their work.
Okay. Sorry, Olaliko. So I'll just ask random questions. Let me stop sharing my screen. Fastest finger. Fastest finger. Mm, mm, mhm. I'm looking for a
Hello.
question. Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. I can hear you. Hakeem.
Okay, my name is Akeem Adegoke. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can. Go ahead, please.
I wanted to ask if on the test, maybe when the test is over and the test environment is shut down, when there is correction, there is there is a possibility that they can come back for a possible change in that application. Now, is it that another test environment will be created to test it again? So that's my question.
Thank you, Hakeem. The same test environment will still be used, but there's something called a change request. So the business will have to send in a change request, but it will still be done on the same test environment. A new test environment will not be built. It's the same software now.
Yes.
Okay, let me give an example. Your shoe got spoiled, and then they need to fix it. Do you buy a new shoe for them to fix the new shoe, or you are fixing the same shoe you have?
Yeah, I'm facing the same shoe.
So it's still the same test environment, but just with a few fixes or changes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Any further questions? This is
Thank you very much.
9:40. You're welcome. Okay. First question. Define error. Define error. Define error. Define error. Okay. Olaliko, are doing well? Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Kazi shock, Abi. Usman. I can hear you. Define error. I'm still looking for my answer. Define error. I think I'll see my answer. Fastest finger. Abiola, one strike for you. I did not say define software testing, software error. I said define error. Abiola one. Abiola is getting one. That's the fastest finger. I just said, you. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so second question. Second question. Let me look for my second question. Second question. Okay. State the four test types. State the four test types. State the four test types. My second question. State the four test types. State the four test types. This is interesting. Hmm. I think I've seen answer. Hmm. Hey, swear. I'm still waiting for my answer. Some people are not. I think I've seen my answer. Let me go. Okay, somebody else came in first. Olalekan, thank you. Olalekan gets one. Olalekan gets one. All of you are writing functional, non-functional, black, white. What is functional? What is non-functional? Black is a color, white is a color. It's not a test type. Just to put that out there, right? Olalekan, Utibe also gave me the complete one: functional testing, non-functional testing, black box testing, and white box testing. We still have a tie. Okay. Unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and subjective, objective, summative, and formative. Ah, students, they here. Please, you know yourself. Listen to the class again. Please. Eh? Thank you. Okay, so my next question. Differentiate. Differentiate between black box testing and white box testing. Differentiate between black box testing and white box testing. Differentiate between black box testing and white box testing. Differentiate black box testing and white box testing. Use the keyword. There's a major keyword that is inside that gives us the real There's a major keyword. Away. Away. This is interesting. It looks as if some people are copying what I'm just writing, verbatim. God, it is well. mm, mm, what is coming close? Mm, it's all right. Mm, okay. So let me go and look for my first answer. Hmm. So let me put this out there. When you want to write the exam, please, they will use words to confuse you. So when you're also defining, please watch the words you are using. I'm seeing some people, the words that they are using here, what they are defining is very far from black box and white box. To you, it looks that it's correct. Although you might understand what you are saying, but during the exam, please ensure that you use the right words. Doesn't require internal code. Very wrong. No. The way, Philip, you are close. When people are putting black box testing validates system without knowing the internal workings. Remember, you can do automated testing as black box. So your definitions. Black box testing is a form of testing where the tester has no access to the internal code. That's not true. Abimbola, there's style here. All of you are just getting one. Let me look for one that somebody will used to win by. Because my questions, time don't go. Oh my God, 950. Okay, just define failure. Define failure. Define failure. Define failure. Define failure. Abimbola, you got your definition. That's why I called you. Define failure. Last question. Define failure. Define failure. Define failure. Define failure. This is my last question. Mm. Lack of success. Wow. Wow. Define failure. Last one. Hmm. My recharge card on Slack. I've not told you that you have won. I said fastest finger. Okay, feelers on the system. Software system. Okay, thank you. David. David, you also have one. So please search for me on Slack, Abiola, Olalekan, Abimbola, and David. Send me your preferred phone number and network on Slack. I'll give to you guys recharge cards individually. But you call my name for test nights. I say it's fine. Olalekan. Abiola, Olalekan, Abimbola, and David. Please chat me on Slack with your phone number and preferred network. Thank you all for having me this night. I don't know. Udemy, are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you. I'm done.
All right, thanks a lot, Chooks. Thanks everyone for staying to the end. I hope we are following. I don't know if Chooks, I don't know if you plan to give the materials at the end of each week or what's the plan? Because
It's at the end of the whole class
for the
because
whole
I
class.
have all my slides in one room.
Okay,
So
one
once
day.
we are done, I'll just share it to everybody.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine then. So thanks, guys. Please try to go through what you've learned so far. Try to listen to the recordings again because at the start of this class, I heard people saying I'm not conversant with the terminology. You have to be conversant with the terminology. That's why you are in this trainings class. So please go over the recordings, take notes of the keywords, of the definitions. This is like the theoretical part of the of software testing, and it's mostly the important part because this will constitute the questions you are asked when you're going into interviews. So please, you need to know the terminologies, you need to be conversant with the definitions, the differentiations, their meaning, etc., and be able to explain it with real world instances. So please do well to go over the recordings. This one will be uploaded. Sorry about the noise. This would also be uploaded latest tomorrow, this recording. So have a lovely night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Tomorrow.